Man, that's the craziest thing. I got to get my car fixed. When I drop my daughter off at school, she sits in the back seat. And then when she gets out for school, you can see back there, no one's sitting in the back seat, but my car continues to, like, it dings as if there's someone sitting in the back. What's up, Brandon? Good morning. So it's just super annoying. This car's like 6 months old. I love my Range Rover, Land Rover, whatever you call it, but I do have to say, service isn't my favorite part of the experience of owning a Land Rover, and it always seems to have some quirky electrical navigation issues. So anyway, still like the car. Any problems I've had have been under warranty, but it's a little bit annoying when you spend good money on a vehicle and it feels like you're going to have repairs more often than you should. But that's not the point of the video today. I apologize in advance. I normally try and organize my thoughts for my videos and be a little bit more prepared. And this morning I was sort of busy and didn't get to spend time reading or listening to a book the way that I normally do. Good morning, Harry. I'll get it right eventually. I do a morning show with Gary, and I don't know where Mary came from. But anyway, what's up, Harry Cusick? How are you doing, buddy? If you get a chance, share this out. I'd appreciate it. But I wanted to talk with everybody today about something that is a constant challenge for me as a business owner, for me as a father, a husband, a friend, and it has proven to be extremely challenging, but also extremely rewarding in all of those relationships. And it's one of the things that I've challenged our team to always be aware of. And what I find a lot of times in conversations, or if we're trying to sort through an issue and there may be one department or another department, or one person and another person that are having problems communicating, and they're both excellent people, right? Like you think about this when you think about your relationships. Like, you're probably a great guy or gal, and your spouse is probably a great guy or a gal, or you wouldn't be married. And the same thing goes for work, right? Like, when we hire people, at least particularly in our business, we put a tremendous amount of time and energy and thought into who we hire. Not only that they're qualified for the position, but they're a good culture fit for our company and our we all have a personality. Our company takes on a personality. And so when we have issues with people and they've been there for 6 months or 6 years, oftentimes what I find is it's a breakdown in communication. And a lot of times, as you get to the source of it, it's that someone is too focused on being right rather than doing what's right. And I'll explain. We tend to have predetermined opinions, or a predetermined set of solutions to problems. When someone brings us a problem, this would happen a lot with my wife. She would come to me, and it wouldn't necessarily be a problem, but she would come to me and explain a situation. And before she could even get the words out, I felt compelled to give her a solution without ever really taking the time to listen to really what was going on, and then ultimately asking whether or not she really wanted my advice or my help. And we do the same thing, I think, a lot of times in business environments and in team environments, is that we want so badly to be right rather than doing what's right. So if you start a conversation, or if you start doing something with doing what's right in mind and not just pursuing your predetermined opinion of what the right thing to do is, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the outcome. So I find this a lot in myself when I'm having conversations and we're having different meetings about things to do, and we're trying to improve. We're trying to build better processes. We're trying to hire people. We're trying to grow as a company. We're trying to improve as a company. And I go into most situations thinking that I have it all figured out. And it's not that I'm arrogant or that I feel like I'm smarter than everybody else. I've just been around for 15 years and I have a pretty good set of instincts, and a lot of times things seem crystal clear to me. But what I've been able to get better at is just basically accepting this humility and being humble to say that, hey, you don't know everything. And even if you do know how to handle a particular situation, it doesn't mean that it's the best. Because a lot of times what we see as a very logical solution almost always involves people. And anytime a solution or a process or a transaction involves people, it no longer just becomes a logistical calculation or a black and white calculation of what to do. It has to be done in observation of those people's personalities. It has to be done with a certain amount of consideration, intentional consideration for how those people feel about that transaction or that process or that project. Or what you'll end up with is a great solution that nobody believes in. So just lead with an interest and a curiosity of doing what's right rather than being right. And then if you have a proposal or if you have a solution and your team, even if it's one person, suggests that there may be a different way or that way might not be the best way, you have to be humble enough to let that unfold. You have to be humble enough and curious enough to ask more questions about it. Where our natural reaction, and this happened even with me yesterday, so I'm by far, certainly still under construction when it comes to becoming a better communicator. I am a work in progress when it comes to trying to be a better leader. And what I found yesterday is someone, there was a situation, there was some follow-up that needed to be done, and I, chirped out a quick little solution that basically said, there's no real reason to address that. And out of the group of 6 people, one person said to me, well, do you mind if I ask why not? And my initial reaction was because I said so. I'm just being honest. Like, my initial reaction in my mind was because I said so. Well, what does that mean? Well, because I said so, because I think I know what's best. Well, what does that mean? Well, I think I know what's best because I've been here for 15 years. I've known this person for 10 years. And I trust my instincts. So none of that came out of my mouth, but certainly it happened in my head. So because I'm aware of trying to do what's right and not be right, my response was not in defense of my opinion. My response was, well, what would you suggest? And it literally felt conflicting for me to say that because it's not what I was thinking. But I had an emotional response to a situation that was based off of years worth of experience, years worth of bad habits of just saying what was on my mind and then backing up my opinion later on with what I could, prove to be fact. Like, well, this is why, it wouldn't just simply be because I said so. It would be, well, these are the reasons why I think that is the right thing to do, or why I believe I am right, I should say. So what we often do is we say what we think is right, then we try and prove ourselves to be right, not necessarily proving that what we're doing is the right thing. Because if we wanted to do the right thing, and that was the most important part of our decision-making process, we would ask more questions instead of giving more answers. Because the reality is that, again, if you go back to any particular situation, there's always going to be people involved. And then, so the way that we handle a situation one time with a certain group of people may be different than the way that we handle another situation that's very similar, if not identical, with a completely different group of people. Circumstances are different, which change how you approach a situation. So my suggestion would be, stop trying to argue your point so that you can be right. All we're doing is, it's a self-serving, plan that we're executing. We're only trying to be right because it makes us feel better. serves our ego for us to say something, have it be challenged, and then for us to belabor and debate our point just to be right. Instead, be more curious about what is the right thing to do. And what I've found is it's almost embarrassing to me how many times I believe I know the right thing to do. And by simply shutting up and asking questions and being willing to think more about what is the right thing to do and think less about proving myself right, I've stumbled upon a number of situations to where there was a much better way to handle a situation that wasn't really rocket science. It wasn't this profound discovery. It was just me or another person being willing to be humble enough to listen to conflicting opinions, and then ultimately making a decision about what was the right thing to do, not just following through with what we believed would support us being right. So to summarize, my lesson that I've learned that I'm still working on and I can get much better at is to don't try and be right. Stop worrying about your ego. Stop worrying about your pride and debating any situation really to just prove your point and walk away saying, told you I was right. I knew the best way to handle it, and be more focused on doing what's right. And I think a lot of times what you may be surprised with is what you thought or felt so confident was the right thing to do turns out to be a little bit different. Doesn't mean you were wrong, but it just may mean that there's a better or a different way to handle something that may give you a better outcome. And at the end of the day, that's what we really want, right? We want the best possible outcome. So again, focus more on doing what's right, focus less on being right. I think it'll help you be a better leader. It'll help you get to the bottom of problems faster. It'll certainly make the people that you work with or work for you or you work for feel more respected and appreciated for their contributions. And it'll make them feel like their opinion counts, because it should. All right, everybody, have a good day. We'll see you.